So as you can see, we are now arriving at the island we left off about to get to at the last. So with early, for an anchor, you just pick it up and toss it in. So we are now at this island. I'm going ahead and hopping on the island for a minute for the intro and to talk to you because, again, Bruce won't attack the raft if I'm not on the raft. So as you can see, and it's dark, but it will be, there's some light. You can see that here we have watermelons, we have flowers, different things that we can harvest throughout the game on the thing, different colored flowers. So let's talk about what some of these resources are for. The different colored flowers, blue, black, white, red, yellow are the flower colors. Those can be used with one of the resources that is able to be made in the game, and that is a paint wheel to create paint to paint your raft. As I'm talking, I realize I believe, okay, we have researched that. Oh, we have that's nice. So you can research a paint wheel and paintbrush to paint your raft. That's one of the things you'll want to do just for decorations and aesthetics. One of the things we're going to do, we're going to risk some Bruce time by tossing some of our resources here in the chest. We're actually going to have to get some of those resources out. So let's put these useless unstackable things in here first. And then we will work on different things. So I could, at this point, easily start planting more potatoes. But I don't want to do that, as planting the potatoes while I am out scavenging on the island, as we're about to do, the birds could come and eat up the potatoes. So at this point, you really don't want to do that. Early game, the decorations with limited space, decorating the raft with things like paint are not really a priority. So you're going to see I'm going to leave all of the flowers. I will take the pineapples. As I mentioned, pineapples and watermelon are food. So with watermelon here, you can see that it has a stamina bar, just like our spear and our hook and our oar. If you eat a watermelon, I took a bite, you can see down in the corner that it healed my food a little and my water a lot, but I still have half a bite. So I can take 2 bites of that, and that heals my thirst a lot more. Pineapple will heal a little bit more food than the watermelon, but a little bit less water. And then again, here if I eat the beet, it'll heal that up. Now, other things that we're going to need to do on the island. One of the reasons to stop on islands is for the trees. Being able to get the trees, which you need an axe for, is important for wood. You can eventually plant trees on your raft and things like that. At this point, we don't have enough stone on me to harvest the tree. See, I jump on and Bruce things. So, fill that up a little. So you can see in here, also don't have the stone to do this. Now I can make the rope, but without the stone, I can't harvest those trees. We're still going to be harvesting the trees, it's just going to take me a few to show you how. So one of the things I'm going to build is another wooden spear. Doing a quick scan around to make sure I didn't miss any pineapples or watermelons. There's often 2 of them together, but it seems this island only has 1 of each, unless they're up top. We will climb the island in the dark. So, how, without the stone or the metal that I need, are we going to make an axe to chop down these trees? Well, that is going to involve these spears and the water. So you can see there are different resources under the water. Now, to get those resources, you have to use your hook. And you use your hook instead of as a hook. So, of course, if something is out in the water, I would just throw it and yank it in. You use it to hit the resources. So if we hop down here, We hit that twice with a plastic hook. Let's hop out of the water. And we just got a piece of clay. Now with that first piece of clay, and with your first of many things, what you're going to do is go over to the research table, plop that thing in the research table, and learn new things. With the clay, it lets me learn a crafting bowl, which helps me get this out of your way a little bit. However, as we mentioned, if you're underwater, there's a good chance Bruce is going to attack you. So that's where the spears come in. We're actually looking for Bruce at this point, our friendly shark. And when he's coming at you, right there, you saw that he came straight at me. And then he swims in the direct opposite direction after he bites you. So he bit me, and he goes over there. Now, ideally, we don't want to be bit. So what your goal is, when Bruce is swimming at you, as soon as he opens his mouth, you jab your spear forward. And with that, Bruce will start to take damage. When Bruce has taken enough damage, and you can go to the wiki if you want to see how many exact hits it takes with each weapon type, as there are different weapons in the game. After Bruce takes enough damage, Bruce will die. As you can see, lost my first spear, but I made another because I knew this is what we would be doing. So, when Bruce dies, you have, and you'll frequently hear me as we're playing this, calling out to set a timer. When Bruce dies, you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds before Bruce respawns, technically. Now there is a possible exception that we have possibly found here. It could be where the game is in early access, but it seems you have slightly longer if you don't harvest all of Bruce. So Bruce is something you can kill and something you can harvest to get resources. Every time you kill Bruce, you get the same resources. You get 4 pieces of shark meat and a shark head that, hey Siri, set timer for 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
4 pieces of shark meat and you can get a shark head. Right now, if you leave Bruce and don't finish harvesting, you just get the shark meat. It seems, from experience, that you have a little bit longer of time. So I'm going to leave his body just sitting there with his head, and then I will go around and start harvesting things. Now you'll see at the top of the screen an oxygen meter. That is one of the things you're going to have to watch as you harvest things. Here I'm harvesting copper. You saw me swimming around and harvesting seafood, but you do have to watch that meter and occasionally pop up and fill up your air. So here are additional stones. Now there are, as of this point, there may be more later, 2 different hooks in the game. There is a plastic hook, which is what we will be using early game, and then there's a metal hook. This that I'm harvesting now is metal, which is one of the more valuable resources early on in the game. The plastic hook, when you're harvesting materials like this sand here, or the clay I got, the metal, the copper, harvesting resources with a plastic hook takes 2 hits. Harvesting with a metal hook takes 1. So you do want to get to a metal hook as well as a metal spear and other things as quickly as possible. You will also find scattered these pieces of scrap. So there's a muffler and there were some pipes. There's my anchor. I don't want to harvest that. Some stone. Oh, my anchor is on some stone. But this doesn't, I don't think. Yep, it won't mess up the anchor. Get some more stone. Then pop out of the water to get some breath really quick. So as you can see right now, we still have a Bruce body out there. We're going to continue harvesting. So what you're going to do when you can get to an island, especially early on, is try to find any and all materials you can find. Early on, it's important to harvest anything and everything you can get. Now, later game, you'll want to harvest most things you can get, but each different game I've played of this, each of those different games I showed you in episode 1, have a different scarce resource. So in the game, the 4-player game, we cannot keep enough metal. There's never enough metal for the things we need. So we are always going to go for metal. However, other resources, plastic, for example, so there is my 2.5 minute timer. So normally Bruce will be back in 30 seconds. We don't know whether he will here. As I mentioned that sometimes with when you leave his head, he stays away a little bit longer. So I left his head. I have no point in it. It just takes up inventory space. So as I was saying, in that game, we have too many chests of plastic and had to create an extra storage room just to store all of the excess plastic we had in the world. In my game with my wife, we have no plastic and actually had to leave a mission to try to get more plastic. But we had plenty of metal that we didn't in the world with friends. So right now I need 2 plastic to be able to build a new hook. We're going to hop up on the raft and then we're going to check. It's easily been 30 seconds, and as you can see, Bruce is still out there. To get some plastic, craft a hook, and now we take a piece of wood, create some rope. We can also craft the axe. So let's stick what we can back in the chest. And check. Bruce is still over there. Well over the time he normally would have despawned. We can hop back in the water and start harvesting some more. So your different games, you're going to have different resources. In some games, way too many stones. There's only so many things you can use stones for, so there's no point in harvesting stone anymore when we're underwater. In other games, stone is one of those critical resources. This game, early on especially, you are going to harvest anything and everything you can get your hands on. Remember, 1 of everything you harvest is typically going in the research table. So you need to get as much of everything as you can. Now, seaweed, which you saw us harvest here, you can see the little glow. You can pick up seaweed. Seaweed itself is not, I don't believe, I'll have to check, something you research. However, vine goo, which is something you make from the seaweed, is something you need to research. Now, metal. Metal is, as I mentioned, one of the most useful things early in the game. So there are different things you're going to be making with metal. And metal and copper are found on the side of things, whereas other things are typically found like this on the flat parts or corners. Metal and copper will be found on the side. Copper is used for, in some ways I can say, advanced electronics in the game. Metal, however, is